What is happening here? All right. So your underlying energy being the five of wands, it's definitely a red flag. But the thing is what kind of the good thing is that kind of, and I say kind of, only because I don't see the five of swords or nine of swords anywhere, so I don't see any real serious like cutthroat arguments or fighting here. But there are some, some inner turmoil. There are some turmoil, maybe even outside, projected from yourself and your own turmoils that you have about yourself, right? So your triggered self is going out and you're experiencing the triggers that you're experiencing in your physical world. And that can, us being spiritual creatures, that is one of the craziest things that I've noticed being a reader myself and going out and doing things, is that my triggers will follow me everywhere if it's on my head. So I feel like the thing is that's coming up. The reason why the Five of Swords is coming up, Five of Wands is coming up right now, is because there's a lot of inner turmoil. Let's see what's underneath here. Yeah, about your independence, about your self worth, about your value, and even though you guys may have put yourself in a very, comfortable place, and it's very, it's a fortress pretty much, because the Nine of Wands, in my opinion, excuse me, Nine of Pentacles is a fortress in my opinion, because you put yourself in a very comfortable place. It's isolated, it's nobody around, and it can be very lonely, it can be very boring, and that sort of boring energy, that boredom energy, can kind of make you kind of feel kind of crazy, or kind of drum up some stir craziness. Gemini, you're socialites. You're not necessarily, you have, some of you guys are also very introverted. You guys have that twin of you that needs that time and space alone. But that isolation can honestly drive you nuts as well. You know what I mean? So you kind of like have to find a balance of both. And right now, that Five of Wands is the struggle of finding what you need in regards to being around people, being in a productive air environment, at the same time having that time and space to yourself, and being supportive and empowering, and not suffocating and isolating. You know what I'm saying? So show that you care coming up as the heart of the reading. It really talks about expressing your love, expressing yourself, being more present in the moment, being more present with the people that you love, and not allowing your mind to kind of draw you back, or to keep you from being present with the things that with the people that you love and the time that you want to spend with them. Show that you care can also indicate that, in times where there's some things that are difficult going on in your life, the last thing you want to do is like necessarily pull away, okay? Because of course it's always a good time to, take some time to reflect and things like that, but at the same time, when sometimes it's just not the best thing to do is to pull away. So I'm going to actually read the affirmation for this, because I feel very led to at this moment. So let's take a look, see as to what this is, okay? Show that you care. Do not distance yourselves from life and those around you. Reach out. Ask for help or support if you have need. Or if someone within your circle is in need of care and support, then give it without hesitation or question. A trouble shared is a burden halved. Now is not the time to withdraw and be alone, nor is it the time to leave another in need. Be aware, be caring, be compassionate, reach out and be a friend, and allow others to be a friend to you. So yeah, isolation is not necessarily the best thing for you right now, and I was saying that too. So and the real big reason, and I think the real reason of this is coming up, is not because you need to be told this, it's because you already know it. And the part that's hard is being comfortable taking that risk and going out and expressing yourself to somebody that you kind of don't necessarily trust. And it's not because you don't trust them, it's because you don't trust your own decisions and your own decision making at this moment. Now, the past is showing big time the Four of Coins, and that's definitely an isolating energy. This is all you by yourself. Nobody around you, nobody really, in need, and it's really just kind of keeping to yourself. And of course, there's nothing wrong with keeping to yourself and having time to yourself, like I said. But when it starts to become isolating, you start brewing some unhealthy patterns, and keeps you from growing in certain ways. Is it really that good for you at that point, right? That's a decision that you have to make. But the situation here in the past was that you were very much alone a lot of the times. You had a lot of time by yourself, and that isolation is really a defense mechanism to keep yourself safe. Now, presently you have the Seven of Swords. There is a risk to going out and speaking your mind and communicating with people and putting yourself out there, but I kind of feel like for a lot of you guys, there's two parts of you, right? One of you that's amped and ready to go to do and take on this risk. At the same time, there's some of you guys that are avoiding the chance to communicate. This is kind of dodging it, procrastinating, moving away from it, leaving it, or trying to disappear from it, trying to ghost, like trying to leave the situation behind. I don't know if you have past commitments here that you were just kind of bored with, that you knew that was stable and it was familiar and it was cool in the moment, but now you're no longer interested in it, and you're now trying to just kind of flee the scene, if that makes sense, and not really face the situation head on, express what you can do, what you can't do, what you want changed, what you don't want changed, whatever. I feel like for a lot of you guys, some of you guys really want to just get the hell out of Dodge. And it's because it's just easier, it's less stressful, it's less on your mind, and it's also, you know, it alleviates a lot of potential for a lot of stuff that you may or may not be necessarily insecure about, aka afraid of. So at the same time, I feel like I said, a lot of you guys know that you guys have spent too much time by yourselves, spending too much time alone, and that sort of stepping outside your comfort zone is something that you guys are doing at this moment, or doing because you have to do something differently, because staying on your own is driving you up the wall, right? That stir crazy kind of energy, you got to do something differently. Some of you guys are trying to avoid the situation, some of you guys are doing it, or some of you guys are actually at a standstill at this moment and understand there is a opportunity to do something, but you're torn between running away or just facing the facts, or facing the music, and that is always a hard one. And there's no right decision to make because the moon is in your external energy. Now, what your future is showing here is the Eight of Pentacles. Now, this is actually not a bad card to get, because this also talks about working on something that's real, that you can see, that's tangible. Putting your focus into something that's productive, that's constructive, that doesn't necessarily bring you down, right? Focusing on things that build you up, focusing on things that benefits you, right? That works on your partnerships, that works on your relationships, that works on your path, whatever that may be. So I do see that, this risk taking that you guys are taking, because you know that being alone is necessarily not good for you right now. Going after something and going for a goal is conductive. At least it's working on something, and it's productive, and it's improving. It's not improving. I'm trying to find the right word. It's encouraging growth. It's encouraging changes. And even though the changes are intense, it's worth it, because you're done being at this place where you don't have anything going on, where it's just safe and there's no real, brain teasers, nothing stimulating. Geminis, you're all about the mind and all about the conversations and thinking, and nothing stimulating you can drive you crazy. And I feel like you guys are aware of that, and you already know. That's why you're already taking the steps to go ahead and just make something happen. Some of you guys are avoiding it because even though you want that stimulation, it's still a little scary to deal with something that can make some serious changes in your life, that you don't even necessarily believe in yourself to carry through with. But I see in the Eight of Coins, and I think that if you just do it, you can do it, instead of thinking so hard about it and not doing it. You know what I'm saying? Now, your best path to follow is the Six of Coins. Like I was saying, there's nothing wrong with being alone, but the problem is that there's always an overindulged portion of each of either one, right? Some of you guys may not spend a lot of time with yourself. Some of you guys may spend too much. It's got to find a balance here. It's never about, hey man, you got to stop being by yourself. You got to go all the way out and just splurge, just be social for like a good month until you burn out, and then do something else. I would never advise that. Never burn out. The Six of Coins is not talking about a burnout card. It's not a burnout card. It's saying, hey, to avoid burnout, balance your situation. Balance what you need. Figure out what you need now and what you need later. Or figure out what you need now and then kind of do it in moderation. Kind of very temperance-y kind of energy I'm getting with the Six of Coins, even though that, the Six of Coins and temperance, they don't necessarily mean the same thing. But the Six of Coins does talk about balancing what you need. You're going to need time alone, and you're going to need time to be out with friends and family, or to, have a time where you're either with an environment that either is very competitive, or be in an environment that's allowing you to at least think outside of the box, so that way you can feel like you're doing something productive and not kind of either isolating yourself or like spreading yourself thin. A balance is necessary, especially when you are in a position where you're not sure about who you are, or if you're full of anxieties, and it's good to just find a balance of time away and time to play. Find a balance of time to work and time to relax. Figure out what that balance is for yourself, because everybody's got their own flow. Now, your external energy, as we already talked about with the moon, in the sense that the Seven of Swords coming up here, there's some secrets that I'm seeing here. This can indicate secrets. This can indicate some things or some lies, maybe. But, the biggest thing is that I think for a lot of you guys, I don't know if it's anybody lying to you, but I think there's a lot of avoiding of a situation, a lot of not addressing the situation, or honestly tackling a situation, because there's a lot of things that there's some things you either are worried about yourself, or the development of something. There's some insecurities that have come up with with a situation that does offer a potential for success, but has a huge amount of risk to it. But I also kind of get the sense of, like, there not being true, honest communication between someone that you care about, because you're not quite sure if the situation will actually work out if you completely be honest with the person that you're trying to communicate with. Now, that's why showing what you care comes in. And it's hard to kind of lend that sort of trust onto somebody, because I see with the moon and the Seven of Swords, there's a little bit of trust issue there. But the situation, especially even the Nine of Swords, that's trust issues within the self. And of course, like I said, with decision making and your decision making, not really anybody else is affected by that. No one else has maybe hadn't even done anything to betray your trust. It just be that, it's just hard for you to make a decision about what's right for you at this moment, because either you've been out of the game for a while, you've been handling things yourself, or this just that you just don't know if this is the right choice to communicate the darkness that you're constantly going through in your mind. Yes, it's important to do that. That's why the Six of Coins rather, is coming up as your best self to follow. Give and then receive. You can't just give all the time and just not allow anybody to help you, right? It's one of those things, especially if you're battling a darkness within yourself. It's good to seek some help, talk to somebody that cares, or give that person the opportunity to care, instead of making the decision for them that they can't give you what you need, and shutting them down completely and avoiding the situation by just saying, no, nothing's wrong, no, everything's fine, no, I'm okay. It doesn't work that way, Jem. And I know it's easier just to be like, you know what? Instead of kind of having my fears come to life, I'm just going to avoid the situation 100%. It's easier to do that, but it does not fix the problem. It doesn't. You have to sort out what the situation is that's making you feel uncomfortable with being vulnerable with other folks, being vulnerable with people. Because you're vulnerable all the time. You're vulnerable even right now with yourself, and that's even uncomfortable. But because of how things are playing out, that the situation is not is not constructive for you. So you have to, of course, you understand that you have to figure out another way to do something differently, and that fortunately means tackling the fears and the insecurities that have been keeping you from saying things and keeping you from opening up and talking about stuff. You're going to take a risk here and communicate with somebody, and I feel like the reward will definitely depend on your faith. Do you have faith in that people do care about you? Do you have faith that you'll be able to work things through? And after communicating, do you honestly need anyone's real feedback or opinion or anything to be able to work through what you got going on? Maybe you just need a soundboard. Maybe you just need to talk about it with somebody, and that allows you to get the brain part of you going to figure out a solution, so that way you can focus and work on it. It may not be that you need anybody at all. You just may have to just allow yourself to just be honest with yourself in this very present moment about what's going on with you, and just be ready to work on those things to change that. Because I feel like y'all are ready to change it. It's just that the scariest part is to just admit that something's wrong. Because maybe you guys have been avoiding that problem or avoiding that fear for a long time. It's been easier that way, but it's not working anymore. That sort of strategy is not working anymore. So something else has to change. Now your hopes and fears is the Nine of Swords, and I understand that you guys don't want to be depressed anymore, right? Misery always finds company. And I feel like, for a lot of you guys, you're done with it. You're done with feeling stressed out. You're done with feeling depressed. You're done with feeling like you're not doing enough, and and self-deprecating yourself because you're not doing enough for yourself to be able to be conductive. But you have to address what's happening. You're no longer allowing this secret or this lie that you've been either telling yourself or just trying to avoid, whatever it is. You have to be, you have to become clean with this. You know that this is no longer the opportunity to say, you know what, it'll be all right. I'll just I'll just ignore it. It's affecting your physical life. It's affecting your stuff now. It's affecting your development. It started that a long time ago. It has been affecting your development for a long time ago. It's time to address what's wrong. Not because you should be ashamed of it. It's because, it's about allowing yourself to grow from it. Allowing yourself to finally be free from that bondage of fear. And your outcome is bravery. Your outcome is strength. And I believe it's going to require some serious bravery to overcome the things that you've gone through, to overcome the stuff that you've been suppressing, to address the things that you're suppressing, holding back, and not communicating with anybody, and allowing the people that care about you, that know that something's wrong with you, because let's be honest, you guys are very transparent, allowing the people in there to at least understand and know what's going on so they can help you. They can't do anything if you shut them out. And you may not need them to do anything, but communicating with people and being honest with yourself by communicating with other people about what's going on, or communicating with people that care about you very deeply, expressing how you feel, that's the most important. That's bravery, because you no longer allow the fear to bind you. You no longer let the fear dictate who and what you're going to be doing for that day, or for so forth. You no longer let the fear continue to corrupt your growth. You allow yourself to have that faith. Take the leap of faith here, which I do feel like a lot of you guys are doing right now. Some of y'all are already doing this, and that's that bravery is coming through to go ahead and handle what needs to be worked on. Putting up that that endurance, taking on the work, and working things through it, having the patience to work through it. It's time to express what's been bugging y'all. It's time to talk about the darkness. Don't ignore it no more. It's not going to go nowhere. It's just going to continue to continue to expand unless you shine some light on it. So let's go ahead and see what the surrender, the power surrender card comes up, okay? Surrender to your soul's path. All right. And it says, your life's journey has been perfectly designed for your soul's growth. Embrace every lesson in every moment. Surrender to soul's path. And I don't believe in predestination. I don't. I believe in free will. And the thing is about this card that I kind of actually think is the best is that how things have always things go by, not just logic and common sense and picking stuff together, putting stuff together, piecing stuff together, but by who you are. You can pretty much determine how the future is going to look because you already know who you are and how you are going to be with certain situations and how things have been. you can kind of determine, like, okay, if I don't do X, Y, and Z, I know I'm going to start feeling this way about myself. So start living by what you know, fam. You know, start accepting and knowing who you are and how you are with things, and doing something to prevent the things that make you sad, depressed, make you really hard on yourself. Start changing those behaviors so that way you can feel better about yourself. Because you know, you going back down a certain road is going to react, it's going to get you to a certain pattern. It's going to get you on a certain mind trip, right? Do the opposite. You know what to do now. You know what you need to change. You know who you are, and to that extent. And if you don't, it's time to really face it and start really focusing on doing something differently. Because surrendering to your soul's path isn't necessarily allowing yourself to kind of go down a deprecating road. It's about accepting who you are and knowing what you need to do to, not to counter that, but to embrace it and to love it to the way that you can, and to apply the most amount of patience that you can.